Good evening and welcome to Tuesday Folk People. My name is Maddie Leedham, and tonight, all the way from New Hampshire in the United States, we are delighted to welcome Americana duo Green Heron. Featuring Betsy Heron on fiddle, banjo and vocals and Scott Heron on guitar, banjo and vocals, the duo's music stretches across the entire folk landscape, encompassing old-time, bluegrass, country, Irish and blues music. In their songwriting and arrangements, the pair weave the contemporary with the traditional and deliver high-energy performances. They describe themselves as bringing the back porch to the stage. The duo's been featured in a variety of publications and have made appearances on several television and radio stations. New Hampshire magazine featured Green Heron among the editor's choice picks for their Best of 2020 issue, and Seacoast Edge listed Green Heron's albums, Folk Heroes and New Pairs of Shoes among their best albums of 2018 and 2019, respectively. Green Heron has shared the stage with several touring acts, including the Del McCoury Band, the Way Down Wanderers and Them Cooley Boys, in world-class venues such as Prescott Park, Club Passim, the Burren, Riverwalk Cafe, Word Barn, and Book and Bar. So without further ado, let's welcome Green Heron to the online studio. Hello, Betsy and Scott. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you both?
Great.
We're good.
Thank you so much for having us.
No problem at all. And I have said this joke to you before, but obviously you guys are based in New England, and here we are in Old England, so it's great that we can connect. Thank you for joining. And I think before we hear your first song, it would be really great for our audience to kind of hear what your sound is, and if you could summarise what your style of folk is that you perform.
Well, we always have difficulty describing our sound, but we call it old time or bluegrass or just American roots music.
Yeah, we play some blues songs. Usually if I'm going to use one word, I would just say kind of an old-timey sound, but
bluegrass seems to be pretty commonly
that's what people use
accepted.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's hear your first song, which is Hesitation Blues. And can you tell me a bit about this song before we hear it?
This is an old song, old American song. I first heard it from a guy named Charlie Poole, who recorded in the 20s and 30s, and just an old country blues song.
Son, I can play the doctor till the doctor comes. Tell me how long have I got to wait? Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate? In Tennessee, don't you love my peaches? Don't shake my tree. How long have I got to wait? Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate? I got hesitation stockings, hesitation shoes. Oh Lord, Lord, I got the hesitating blues. And how long have I got to wait? Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate? Oh, can I get you now? Must I hesitate?
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you both. I have to say, when I hear it, you just kind of can't help but bop along. it's just me the whole time. And with that song, where did you find it?
I heard a couple of versions. I heard Charlie Poole. I also heard Old Crow Medicine Show do it on one of their old albums, and it was just such a simple song and super easy to play, and yeah, it just had kind of a good toe tapping beat to it that we love playing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So I did want to kind of explore how you formed Green Heron, because I know that you both were in other bands first, weren't you, with quite different sounds. And I was wondering if you could kind of tell us about those bands and then how Green Heron came about.
Sure. Well, we were each in our own band. I have a band with my three sisters called the Green Sisters. So we play around New England, and he had a band, a trio that was an Americana trio. I did want to say he used to be in metal bands, so that was quite different, but that was a number of years before we met. So we ended up having a gig where my band played and his band played, and then at the end we kind of jammed all together, just having fun playing music together, and it kind of just clicked really nicely, so we wanted to keep playing, and I ended up joining his band at the time.
Yeah, it was so fun just jamming, especially with a fiddle player. I had never played with a fiddle player before.
That's me.
That's her. So we just found her playing some gigs with us, and we said, oh, why don't we make it a full band, and so we kept playing as a quartet, my band, and until that band kind of split up, and we went our way and created a duo.
Yeah, we thought, well, it's easy to, I mean, we already live together, we're married, so why don't we just play some gigs as a duo? And Green is my maiden name and Heron is our married name, so we just kind of combined those.
Yeah. Lovely. And what is the difference, would you say, or is there no difference between the styles that you play with, say, the Green Sisters and Scott, your old band, and that Green Heron plays?
It's all somewhat similar, still a fair amount of variety across the repertoire. I would say Green Heron is more traditional. We do a lot more fiddle and banjo type music, an older style of music, whereas the Green Sisters and my old band, the Opine Few, we played some modern stuff, but still in that Americana acoustic folk vein.
Yeah, and we would play in both of those other bands. We play mostly original songs that we've written, so they kind of have all different sounds to them. We tend to play a lot of what he said, older songs and instrumental fiddle tunes, which is really fun.
Yeah. What is it about the older stuff that draws you to it?
I love the energy. The energy is just so raw, and I wouldn't say the music's more simple, but it seems more boiled down, where it's just, we're just playing what we want to be playing. We want just the feeling. It's just so satisfying.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as like what people might be playing if they were just like, if they had gone to work and came home and just kind of want to relax and sit around and play their fiddles and banjos, and kind of what comes out. I think it is simpler in a way, and just kind of feels like it kind of strikes you in the heart for me.
Yeah, it's a very kind of natural, organic sound to it.
Yeah, kind of like the music that our bodies were kind of just designed to play, just instinctive almost. And do you think that there's
Absolutely.
kind of like a bit of a wisdom there because it's so old and it's passed down? Do you feel that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of maybe more like just makes you realize that people are the things that we feel and go through are so universal, like through the centuries, even though obviously in the modern age we have kind of like all these new problems with technology and different things, but it all boils down to the same sort of stuff we all go through.
Yeah, and I suppose the music's kind of tried and tested over the decades. You know, these are songs that predate recording technology, and so people have been playing these songs and tunes longer than they've been listening to them. You know, on records, and they've lasted. I think there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
Probably all the bad ones didn't last though.
Probably.
Yeah, I was going to say you've definitely filtered out, or you know that the bad ones have been filtered out over the decades. So if you've got an old one, you can always guarantee it'll be a good one. So
It's gonna be
Terry,
good. Yeah.
and speaking of songs, I think we should have your second one, which is Johnson Gals. Could you tell me about this one?
Sure. This is a fiddle tune that we learn a lot of fiddle tunes either by playing with other people and picking up the tunes they know, or like I have a bunch of fiddle tune books that I read through and find some fun ones. So this is one I just got by flipping through a book and playing a tune, and it really was a lot of fun. So we play it a lot live.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Absolutely brilliant. I really love that one. It's like, I don't know, the way that you guys perform, it kind of you're in the performance. It's not just about the music you're hearing, it's about what you're seeing. And you two completely enrapture, the right word? I guess we're kind of like in a trance when we watch because it's all about the whole package. And so do you find that performing live is quite an important part of your music?
Absolutely. I think this music is kind of by nature more interactive. Traditionally, you may play that kind of music at a dance, and folks would come and listen. They'd tap their feet, they'd clap along. At least that's what that kind of music makes me want to do.
Yeah, and I think kind of conversely, it doesn't always translate to just being an audio recording. Like when we were working on our most recent album, it was tough sometimes. We had some tunes that we wanted to record because we love them, but it's hard to get that same energy to come across when you're trying to get like a good recording of it. And so we left some of those off the album because it just didn't work out as well as we wanted.
Oh, so it's really it's a better experience almost to be there in the room with you guys playing because you'll get the whole package, and it's hard to get that then onto like just an audio thing. I don't know, there's only so many things like yips and yays you can do in the background to kind of simulate a really, a
Yes.
really good time. No,
Yeah,
but you've
we added in a few hoots and hollers in our recording, but not quite the same.
yeah. You've released 3 albums, haven't you? And
Yeah.
how do they all differ?
The first 2 albums of ours are all original music, mostly original music, songs that we wrote. The first album being maybe more traditional sounding,
Yeah.
which is kind of our intent when we're writing original songs, is to make them sound like they've been around for for a century or so. The second album was a little interesting, where we took on a local challenge we have. I guess it's nationwide in the States here, or maybe it's worldwide. It's called the RPM Challenge, and it tasks songwriters to record 10 original songs, 10 songs we wrote all within the month of February. And so we decided, we didn't decide to record an album in 1 February until the last day of February on the 28th. And we're like, oh, do you want to just record some songs of ours and make an album? And so it was a fun challenge.
Yeah, and we didn't really intend to put that out as an album that we actually sell and have online, but we did end up doing that with it. But so in that way, it's, to me, it's kind of not really representative of what we typically play at a show. So the third album, the most recent one, is kind of what we wanted it to sound like. If you came to a show, this might be what you hear. So I'm really pleased with that, with the last one.
And you released that during lockdown, didn't you, or during COVID? I'm not sure of how it worked in America, but I guess that was something that's really important for people because they're used to seeing these live shows, and so if you can give them an album that kind of evokes that, that's really great for your audience.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but that's a good way to put
it. You subconsciously did it.
Yeah, I guess.
Right. Let's have your third song, which is New Pair of Shoes. Can you tell us about this one before we hear it?
Yeah, so this is one that I wrote. It's on our second album.
It's the title track to our second album.
So I don't really have much to say about it, except that it was sort of just about, kind of a longing for going somewhere with someone you love.
1, 2, 3, 4.
really great. Thank you both for that. And so that was an original song. What kind of inspirations do you both take when you write your original songs?
I think I take a lot of inspiration from. It's kind of a combination of. Usually, I find myself writing about someone that I know, maybe something they're going through, or that I'm going through. But it doesn't. It's very unliteral usually, so it's kind of just you would never know what the song is about, which is maybe a problem. But
Yeah, I would. Same for me, where I kind of take relationships or just people I know personally, and it may not be about my relationship with them, but just kind of writing about their story and what I might think they're going through, um, and kind of inject my own personal experiences, into the songs.
and we definitely both use a lot of nature kind of themes.
Rivers and trees, because that's what you look outside and that's what we see. Oh yeah, let's write about a tree. Write about the grass.
I've never written about the grass.
Do you think
I
that's
think
quite
I
a
tried.
common feature? Sorry, I was just saying, do you think that's quite a common feature in kind of like the more, I know it's Americana is like a very umbrella term, but in Americana music, using nature to express yourself?
Yeah, I think it's such an organic style of music that there's kind of an inherent relationship between music and nature.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I actually wanted now to explore the kind of folk scene in the area that you have, because we've only ever had one American folk act, and they were all the way down in Florida. So obviously it's going to be very different up in your neck of the woods. And what is the folk scene like around there?
Well, we have the benefit of having the Berklee School of Music not too far from us in Boston, Massachusetts. But outside of that, and maybe because of that, but there's a pretty good bluegrass music scene and Americana music scene throughout New England, and so there are these little pockets and a lot of great venues to perform in. So it's a pretty strong community.
Yeah, what we love about where we live, which is southeastern New Hampshire, it's near the seacoast, so it does attract people of all kinds, but there does seem to be a good number of people that we've become really close friends with, just who play similar type of music, or so you can get together with people, and there's plenty of places to play that like that, having that kind of music at their venues, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, let's go for your fourth song now, which is Song I Sing With You. Can you tell me what this one's about?
Yeah, we call this one our very cheesy love song.
Very sappy.
So this is one of the few songs that we've actually written together, because normally when we write songs, one of us writes it and then kind of shows it to the other one, and we might change a couple little things here and there, but this one was kind of more of a joint effort, would you say?
Yeah, we kind of, I think I started a line and then you wrote a line, and we just kind of kept alternating verses until we had a full song. And that's a good example. There's a lot of nature in that one. Birds, trees.
I think there is grass in that one.
I think there may be some grass in that one. Yeah.
Won't you sing me a song as the day grows long? I swear I'll hum along too. Though the sun soon will set, I won't soon forget this song I sing with you. We'll break our bread on a soft grassy bed by the ripple of the murmuring spring. And it's there we will be with the birds and the trees to find what each morning will bring. And every night by Moonlight's the way, and together we'll play this song I'll sing with you. When we wander at will down the slow rolling hill, in the chill or in the warm midday glow, what a joy to find that we both have a mind to learn what the other may know. On the sweet summer air is our sweet love so fair, like the feathers in the tree swallow's nest, and the birds in the sky and the blue in your eye are the signs that I love the best. Every night by firefly light, remember the words that ring true. The moonlight's the way, and together we'll play this song I'll sing with you. Won't you play me a tune on the first day of June about what the moon wants to say? We'll dance with the stars and make the night ours, and together we'll be till the day. Every night by firefly light, remember the words that ring true. Moonlight's the way, and together we'll play this song I'll sing with you. This song I'll sing with you.
Thank you very much for that. I have to say that when you perform together, and it's not just because you both co-wrote that, but you're so in sync, not just like you complement each other, not just with the harmonies, but with the way that you perform. It's like you just instinctively know what each other's going to do and exactly what to do. Does that take a lot of rehearsal to get that kind of connection, or does it just come naturally?
I think it's come naturally. I mean, it helps that we live together.
I think it just comes naturally because we live together and we spend a lot of time playing music just for fun. So you kind of learn the nuances. Whereas if you have a band, different band members where you get together specifically to practice, it's like you're focusing on playing together, but it's much less often, and very specific. So I think just living with each other and playing all different kinds of things together, you kind of just get really familiar with the other person.
Yeah, we're each listening to each other and kind of just looking for little cues, especially live, because she's playing the fiddle and she's doing a lot of solos, and so sometimes I'm just like, go take a solo now, and so she's
Usually
always,
I get a cue.
yeah, you're pretty aware of the cues.
I think in that way it helps to just be a duo because there's less to focus on. There's just one other person, so it's much easier to pick up what someone is trying to put down.
Brilliant. Going back to the whole US folk scene, because I think it's something our audience will be really into, because we don't really know that area well and curious, aren't we? So how supportive is kind of your culture and potentially like your government in terms of funding or even just any kind of support for kind of folk music?
I don't know if we get a lot of kind of public support or kind of government support, but in general, there's a pretty strong fan support, even at kind of the local level, where we'll play a lot of venues and concerts, and we'll play to a lot of people who have never heard that style of music in kind of any form, or maybe they've just come across a song, kind of a cliche tune or two, but they'll find that they really like it. and they've just never really been exposed to it. So I think there's a natural, people want to naturally support that kind of music when they hear it, and so once you become a fan of that music, it's like, oh, I love that. I want to go and support it.
Yeah, and I would say that we don't even really live in it. I mean, we live relatively near Boston, so there's a pretty good scene there, but there's definitely some pockets in the US that are really focused on this kind of music further down south.
Oh yeah, I mean our kind of music was born there. Coming from Scotland, Ireland, and England. You had people taking their fiddle music with them, and that kind of melded in the South. With African slaves bringing their music, and you kind of hear that story, and I'm sure there's a lot to it, but that basically created the modern banjo and modern fiddle and banjo music, is that just melding of cultures, and so that's kind of, you can see that the roots there, and it kind of started in Appalachia, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Tennessee, but it just totally spread, across the states and across the world as well.
And it's interesting to me because when I was younger, I really loved Irish fiddle tunes, Celtic music, and you can definitely, there's even some tunes that are pretty much exactly the same between like the Celtic fiddle tunes and the Appalachian fiddle tunes. They're just like kind of different stylistically, but it's really cool to just see that connection.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar to the UK scene. I think that it is thanks to our performers' passions and the help of our audience and our fans that kind of keep it going. I'm going to have to go for our final song. But before we do that, I do just want to say thank you so much for tuning in from thousands of miles away and talking to us. It's been absolutely fascinating. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So this final song, his name is John. I do know that it's going to end on a bit of a high for us, but can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, this is another one that I wrote that's on our newest album. It's not really about anything specifically except a man named John, who I don't know who personally that is, but it just kind of came out.
The song's about nothing.
1, 2, 3. Take a walk down the street, take a walk through the woods.
Thank you very much, Scott and Betsy. That was absolutely wonderful, and it was a pleasure to speak to you. Please do sign up to our mailing list or keep an eye on our social media to be informed about all future Tuesday Folk People sessions. Our next session will be a week today at 8 p.m, where we introduce Pam and Noel Batowski into the studio. See you then.